Joining us now, I'm thrilled he's back with us, Speaker John Boehner, Congressman from Ohio, and a lot of news to cover with him, and we're happy he's with us. Speaker Boehner, how are you, sir?
Well, Laura, I'm doing fine. Just sitting here in my office looking directly down the National Mall.
Oh, well, we're waving at you. We're actually broadcasting from the front of the reflecting pool. Do you see us? Oh, I see you. Look, oh, you're smoking.
My goodness,
oh, no,
I'm
that's
waving.
awful.
I see you.
No, just kidding. Speaker Boehner, we want to get into what's happening with this jobs bill on the floor of the House in just one moment. But before we get into that nitty-gritty and that substance, the conversation on the Hill yesterday, very heated about that contempt vote in committee, moving to a full vote next week, it looks like, on the House floor. You've said precious little about this. What's your take so far on this Holder situation?
Well, Laura, we have a very serious problem. The federal government got involved in a program to sell weapons to people in both Mexico and the United States. Okay. As a result of this program, one border agent has been killed, and probably other innocent civilians. And I believe that Congress and the American people have a right to know why this program was initiated, who agreed to it, and what has happened since then. Secondly, if you go back to a letter that we received here in February of 2011, a letter outlined by the Department of Justice, basically saying that there was nothing to this. And then 10 months later, the administration retracted the letter because everything in it was false. And the Congress of the United States is trying to understand why they sent the letter to begin with and why it took them 10 months to retract the letter and what were those deliberations. And now we've got the latest twist on this, in that at the 11th hour and 50th minute, the White House decides to claim executive privilege over these documents, which the day before the Attorney General was willing to show us only if we were willing to drop any discussion of contempt now and forever. There are a lot of unanswered questions, and the American people deserve the truth.
Well, Congress has gone down this road before, though, right? I mean, the Congress has gone down the road before of investigations, and I'm not look, I've been on this since the first day it broke on CBS, and I was on it last February, I think the first radio show that really looked at this in depth and interviewed Cheryl Atkinson in depth. So I've been on this from the beginning, but Dan Burton's investigation in the past, and that ended up blowing up for the most part in Republicans' faces. And are you concerned, given the importance of this election in November, that while there are important issues here, that politically this could be a landmine for you?
Laura, members of Congress take an oath of office to uphold the Constitution and to enforce the laws. And while politically this may not be the smartest thing to do, we have taken an oath of office, and we are required to follow it. And I and the leadership team worked very closely with Chairman Issa to make sure that all the T's were crossed, all the I's were dotted. We've given the administration every ample opportunity to comply with this. And quite frankly, we're at this stage because the Attorney General, Eric Holder, has refused to work with us in a constructive way.
Do you think the executive privilege invocation was proper?
No one will know, but until yesterday, there was no indication that the White House was involved in this in any way, shape, or form. And, by the White House invoking executive privilege here, which means that any communication between the president and his senior staff is what's protected there. It means the president and or his senior staff now appear to have been involved in how this administration responded to Fast and Furious, and possibly the letter they sent up here, possibly the retraction. They've now involved themselves in this, and frankly, we have no idea why.
Eric Holder last week said that the White House had been in contact with him about the strategy of dealing with the attacks, as he called it, on him during this investigation. So he had stated that publicly last week. So I guess what you guys want to find out is what were those contacts and whether any type of cover-up might have been involved in the 100,000 documents.
Right. Typically, the White House would invoke executive privilege over White House documents and discussions among senior White House officials and the president. This is rare, if not unprecedented, for the White House to invoke executive privilege over Department of Justice documents. There are more unanswered questions today than there were yesterday.
We're talking to Speaker John Boehner here on the Laura Ingraham Show. And Speaker Boehner, you hear a lot from people in the media, most of them left-leaning, that the Republicans are stonewalling, not offering anything on jobs. What's happening today?
Well, we've got our House Energy Action Team has put together a package of 7 bills that would open up energy production in the United States on federal lands and create millions of American jobs. The American people want us to move toward energy independence. The American people are still asking the question, where are the jobs? And here we have an opportunity to do both. U.S. energy production has, in fact, expanded, but it has all expanded on private lands. And if you look at what's happening on public lands, the amount of energy production on public lands is actually declining. And we see the fewest number of federal permits on federal land that we've seen in over a decade. It's important for the long-term good of our country and for our economy and jobs to open up federal lands for this type of energy production. It's a win-win for the American people, and the administration should have no reason to object to this. In addition to that, we've got 30 passed bills that are sitting over in the United States Senate. We've been focused relentlessly for 18 months on the economy and jobs. All of these bills that are sitting over in the Senate came out of the House on bipartisan votes. And the president's serious about wanting to get Americans back to work. He had to pick up the phone and call Harry Reid and say, listen, it's time for the Senate to act on these bills.
Congressman Boehner, Speaker Boehner, when is the last time you spoke with President Obama?
Oh, it was probably about a month ago when he had the legislative leaders down to the White House for lunch.
So it's just that more of a informal kind of semi-social get-to-know-you-again meeting?
Well,
there hasn't been any real conversation since then?
No, there have been 2 conversations all year, both at these informal lunches. Listen, the president's on the campaign trail full-time. He isn't involved in trying to move the legislative process. He's out there trying to find a way to get himself reelected. But listen, the election is going to be about the economy and his failed economic policies. And because he can't run on his record, he's running on everything but. He's turned to the politics of envy and divide. And it's just one gimmick after another coming out of this White House.
What time do you usually start your day? I like to learn about the natural habitat of our guests. Like, what do you get in fairly early?
I'm up at 5:30, and I'm usually at Starbucks before 6, and then the reading begins. There's about an hour and a half of reading that goes on, and I may have to iron some shirts, do some laundry, and then I get to the office.
Okay, so then you work till when usually?
Pardon me?
Then when you work until when usually?
Listen, it goes until 10 o'clock most every night. But
so you work long days. I mean, I'm
pretty diligent about being in bed at 10 o'clock, too.
Okay, well, good. Well, I'm kind of laying the predicate because today the president's schedule begins at 10 a.m., and it seems, as far as we can tell, to end at 1:40 p.m., or let's say 1:50 to be fair, because the remarks are going to be probably 15, 20 minutes. Or maybe, let's just say 2 o'clock. So, because we track the president's schedule every day, Mr. Speaker, and my goodness, this is kind of light, don't we think, for all the problems facing our country? 10 a.m. and about 2:15. When's the last time you put in that day?
Oh, I can't even remember that far back.
Yeah, well, and apparently no time for calls to you. So The Lonely Hearts Club, Speaker Boehner. I guess you're the founding member for the time being.
It's great. Always lonely at the top.
No, it's great to talk to you. Speaker John Boehner on the Laura Ingraham Show.
See you,
Thanks
Laura.
so much, Mr. Speaker. We'll talk to you soon.